be doing a little watercolor. I got my watercolor paints out. I've got my brushes all set, ready to go. And I'm gonna just wetting the whole paper. I have my paper taped down at the corners to help prevent the paper from stretching. It will have a tendency to buckle a little bit. It's gonna be sort of a abstract flower. Just gonna establish some colors. Got a bright alizarin crimson. And I'm not just randomly putting it in. I'm kind of doing it in a flower shape. You know, here's some petals coming off. And I get a little heavy there. That's all right. Things happen, and that's fine. I'm gonna pick up a little bit of it out here since it's gonna be out the outer edges. Maybe another petal here. Clean that brush. And you can see it's already starting to shape up. I'm gonna go in with a little bit of my green, just a touch of the yellow. I got more or less yellow on one side, green on the other. And I'm not gonna touch the red, but I'm just out here. Let me get a little more water. Just kind of touching here and there on the outside. Trying to stay a little bit away because it will bleed in. I don't mind if it does it a spot or two, but I don't want it to, because the green and the red will actually establish almost a brown color. And a little more of the yellow, a little more touch of the green. And then I'm going to actually go in with a touch of the blue. Get a clean spot on my palette here. Get a little touch of the blue. I don't want it to be strictly. And then clean my brush, go back in with some water. And that blue will blend with the yellows and the greens, establishing some cool colors. Let's go in. I like that. I'm going to touch that blue, just touch it a little bit. This time I'm going to add just a touch of the yellow to it. Maybe over here. Back to my water. All right. And you can see I still have some white areas. So we're just going to let that dry a little bit. All right. It's still damp in areas, but you know, you can see where it's real glossy. I don't know, it's hard to tell, but it's real wet. But for the most part, the flower is pretty dry. I mean, it's not bone dry. It is still a little damp, but it's dry enough to work with. So we're going to establish a center, and the center is always darker than the outer petals. So we're just going to go straight alizarin, and I'm just picking it up on the corner of the brush. And since we got the darker colors here, let's establish that sort of is the center of this. And I'm just basically drying my brush off a little bit. I'm going to pull that out and give it a kind of a belly there. I'm going to go into some of my yellow ochre, sort of a deep yellow. Put a little, some dots in there. So now I'm going to take a bigger brush, and I'm going to go into my bright reds. And just on the edges, I'm going to establish some a petal. And that And then I'm going to kind of pull that in. And you can see how it, and then I'm going to put some of the darker, pull some of that out. And I'm just, we have one petal there. I just work it a little bit. And we'll establish the next one. Just pick up some color. And that's kind of hiding behind that one. Bring that around. Just, I don't clean my brush totally. And I've just got more or less water on here, but and I bring that in. And you can even add just a touch of the blue, not much, very lightly, barely touching the blue to it. And I just put a little line there. And you can actually almost see a shadow color right there. And you can barely see that. I don't want a blue flower. I just want something that establishes a little bit of shadow. So back to my alizarin. This one, I'm gonna go a little darker right here. Wipe the excess off. And bring that in. And we have a little petal that's kind of turned on its side. Right there. Find some pictures. Look at them. You don't have to do it freehand like I am. I'm just sort of playing with colors. All right, right here. And back to my water. Let's get the excess off. And kind of drag them in. So you've got one here that's kind of turned, and then you've got this one here. Now we have a big leaf here. I think I'll leave that big. I like the way it looks, but I am gonna go out, and I'm got the brush flat, and I'm kind of dragging some color and wipe that excess color off, and just plain water. And if you get too dark, wash your brush. Pick up just plain water, and you can pick up some of that color, bring that white back in. So we're getting this huge flower here. We still got a few more petals around here. Take a look. Which ones are on top, which ones are behind. This one looks like it's behind this one, so let's go, and we're gonna put a dark here, and then clean that brush. Like I said, I'm not totally getting all the color out, but I'm getting the heaviest color. Tapping it on my paper towels. You can see how dirty my paper towels are. And then I can come back in, actually even pick some color off of it. And establish another petal. Let's do that again. This one is kind of an odd shape. That happens. Nature isn't perfect. In fact, I think I'm gonna, and you know what? You see something odd happening here. This is a lot darker. So maybe that petal has turned up on itself. I'm just gonna come in with some dark right along there. Wipe my brush off and kind of give it a little U shape. I'm actually going to clean my brush, wipe off the excess water, and actually lighten it, pick up some of the color that's in here. And when I do that, I pick up the color, then I wipe it on my paper towel. And then I'm going to take a little more right in here. And it looks like that petal is almost a cup. How it turned up, the petal sort of turned up on itself. All right, we've got one more. Or we could actually make two. Let's go see what we got. Let's see. And then maybe that one. Cleaning my brush, dabbing the water off. Bring this back in. Dabbing some of the color off. Bringing that almost around like that. And that's coming in. And then this one is coming in as well. And you know what? I think, yep, there's just a tiny little one right in here. He's trying to poke his head out there. Yeah, maybe a little bigger. There we go. And take a little highlight in there. All right, we've got our flower established. Now, if you want, you can go in. I'm just picking up some color from the center. And I'm gonna give it a little round. Got it round here and then just sort of dot that up there, giving it more of a defined center. You can add other colors if you want. If you want to add a little more oranges or make it more pink, you can pick up some color. But I think we've got our main flower. I think my flower needs a stem. Just coming off of there. I'm going to go, in fact, even a little darker than that. Darken one side of that stem. And here, in fact, I'm going to go with a smaller brush. My little. I'm going to pick some the color out there, and I'm just wiping my brush off. I like that a little better. Maybe right in here a little more. In fact, right here, I think I'm gonna darken that a little bit. All right, so stand back, take a look. All right, now I'm gonna go into my blues, my greens, my yellows. I got some bright yellows, I got some bright blues, and I'm using my smaller brush. And lots of water. Lots and lots of water. The main thing is here. I'm gonna go right along that edge. And now I'm not trying to make leaves per se. I'm just trying to give some leaf shapes. And let's get a little darker under that petal. I'm wiping some of the color off. Bring that out. can even kind of fade that in a little bit with just a wet brush. And then I'm going to come in with my greens again. Maybe there's some type of leaf here. I'm just basically making shapes. I don't want any super. I'm going to add a little yellow there. I like the nice background. I'm not going to lose all of it, but I do want to at least establish around some of here some type of leaf shape. Looks like they do have some leaves around there. Go a little darker in here. Bring one into in fact, I think I'm going to go a little darker right in that stem. Add some blues to it, maybe over here. Let's use the point of that. Maybe another one. I'm just smearing color. Then I'm using the point out to bring the shape in. And then bring right up the center. Maybe over here there's a dark one. This one's a big one. So you put as many leaves or shapes as you want. Just adding some yellow interest here. Not sure what it is. Add a little green to it. Maybe something here. I'm going to take just a touch of that alizarin, maybe on the edge of that. Be careful, green and alizarin will turn brown. I just wanted a little reflection of that color on there. And I think I'm going to go with a little yellowish green, maybe some type of leaf or something coming off there, just to break that shape up. Under here, bring some color, a little bit of the blue coming in there. So we've got ourselves a nice flower. Stand back, take a look. Maybe the smaller brush, you want to just pick up the tip with the red, maybe here and there you want to establish a little more color. You play with yours. You decide how you want it. Do you want it nice and pale, pinkish flower? Do you want it more red and bold? You can go back in and add more bold colors and bring that in. And if you get too much, clean brush, come back in and pick up some of that color. But make sure it's fairly dry when you come back in. Otherwise you're going to get bleeding. All right, let's take my mat and see what we have here. And when you mat it, you can actually cut off a portion of the flower. But you put the mat over where you want it, and I think we pretty much have finished painting. All we need to do is sign that one. Let's see, here's a good spot. And you can use a pencil or you can use your twiggy brush to do that. In fact, here's something else you can even do. I've got a little twiggy brush, speaking of twiggy brush, you can actually take some yellow and I'd wait till it dries a little bit more, but you can pull some of these little stems out. Maybe even put a few dots in there just for interest. And I think we have another finished painting. Hope you enjoyed that one.